Reading the notice from work stirred up old memories I had hoped to forget. My unfaithful ex-wife, Kim, was now my boss. I should have seen it coming, but I was just relieved to be out of the marriage. Now it was all coming back to haunt me. Kim used to say I was a heart attack waiting to happen, and she was right. My doctor warned me, but I ignored it, thinking I was just working hard to provide for my family. Kim always wanted more: the mansion, the pool, the country club membership. I thought it was my duty to provide all that. Now, the woman I once loved had the power to control my life again. I realized I couldn't work under her, not after knowing about her infidelity. I packed my things, picked up my resignation letter, and walked out of my office for the last time. I left the letter, my company phone, car keys, and credit card on Hazel's desk. I told her it had been great working with her and wished her the best. I advised her not to let Kim push her around and to use my departure as leverage if needed. Hazel was surprised, asking if I was really leaving. I confirmed that I couldn't work for someone I didn't respect. She admitted that Kim had been inquiring about my workload, making her feel uneasy. I reassured her that she had done nothing wrong and that my decision was inevitable after the merger memo. As I left, I told Hazel to be honest with Kim about my departure and to prioritize her own principles. We shook hands, and I promised to stay in touch. As I got into my car, a black limo pulled up in front of the office. Kim stepped out with two well-dressed men, looking every bit the high-status businesswoman she portrayed. Despite her sharp appearance, I knew her true nature. She didn't spot me, which was fine by me. I waited for her to go inside before driving out of the parking lot for the last time. I had settled my affairs, sold what I needed, and put the rest in storage. Taking my doctor's advice, I decided to travel and unwind from work stress. After 3 months of sightseeing, I ended up in a small, almost forgotten town with friendly locals, great weather, and excellent fishing. I rented a cozy 3-bedroom cottage by a lake, with the option to buy, and started fresh. Sitting on the deck, enjoying a cold drink, I wondered how Kim was handling my departure. The next day, I called Hazel to check in. She told me how chaotic things had become after I left. Kim was making changes all over the company. There have been layoffs everywhere. Kevin Paxton left last week after a fight with her. I'm not sure what happened, but she moved him from logistics to the basement archives. Hazel also shared how Kim tried to fire her for not stopping me from leaving, but Hazel stood her ground and even secured a promotion. While I was pleased my departure had impacted Kim's plans, I also felt some concern for how it might affect others in the company. The next morning, I ran out of sugar and went to the nearby convenience store. I almost bumped into a young couple leaving and saw a stressed woman in her early 20s behind the counter. "Can I help you?" she asked, as a baby fussed in the background and cars pulled up at the gas pumps outside. The woman sighed. "Where is Jillian when I need her?" I smiled and said, "Can I help instead? I'm Sam, and I live up the road. I see your baby needs a feeding, and I just need some sugar. I don't have anything pressing to do, so if I can assist until Jillian arrives or until you're done, I'd be happy to help. How about I take care of the customers outside while you look after your baby?" The woman introduced herself as Monica and asked for my help. I went outside, assisted customers with their fuel, cleaned windshields, and then returned inside to handle the payments. When another customer came in to browse, I approached him, noticing he was interested in the fishing rods. He mentioned he was just passing through and had some time to kill while his car was being repaired. Recognizing a fellow former businessman, I persuaded him to invest in a better rod for a more enjoyable fishing experience. After helping several more customers, Monica finally had a moment to put her baby down after feeding. She expressed her gratitude for my help and wondered why things always seemed to get busy at the worst times. She explained that her usual help, Jillian, hadn't arrived yet, and her baby, Bessie, was typically not fussy at this hour. I made a lighthearted comment about hiring more reliable help, but Monica's expression fell. She revealed that she was a widow. Her husband, Greg, who was in the Army Reserves, had died in a training accident. The truck he was in overturned, and tragically, Greg never knew he was going to be a father. Bessie was likely conceived the night before he left. Monica wiped away her tears and shared that Greg had many plans for the store and the land they owned. In the weeks that followed, I made it a point to visit the store and help out whenever I could. I know what you're thinking, and you're probably right. Monica was attractive, and it had been a while since I'd been with anyone, but beyond that, helping her restored my sense of purpose. What hurt the most was knowing that Kim's cheating meant she didn't need me or believe I could support my family. It felt like the ultimate insult. Monica seemed to recognize my need to give, and although she never directly asked for help, She always accepted it and appreciated my support. I began to feel good about our time together. She was funny, caring, and grateful, which made me feel good too. I was heading home when my phone rang, interrupting my thoughts. It was Hazel, who warned me that my ex-boss had hired a private investigator to follow me. Hazel had been forced to arrange it to keep her job, but wanted to give me a heads up so I could stay out of sight and avoid detection. She explained that my ex-boss was at her breaking point, working long hours and visibly stressed, even gaining weight. Desperate to find me, she blamed Hazel for not getting to talk to me before I left. I realized that ignoring this situation wouldn't work, so I told Hazel to wait a week and then give my ex-boss a fake report, saying they couldn't find me, but that my phone was active and she had convinced me to talk to her. Hazel was concerned about putting me in this position, but I assured her that she should prioritize her own safety and that I appreciated her help. A week later, Hazel sent me a text before she started work. PH no 2BB today. Be ready for call today sometime? Seeing the text message, I laughed at the abbreviations. BB? Which boss? No, it must mean number. Man, these young people and their tech jargon. Then I tried to think of what to say to her, but drew a blank. I decided to deal with it when the time came. True to her word, the call came through. Recognizing Kim's number, I answered with, "Yes, Kim, what do you want?" Kim seemed surprised by my slurred speech and abrupt greeting. "What's that witch of a secretary been?" I hung up. The phone rang again. "Holly cow, Sam." Once more, I hung up. When it rang a third time, Hazel cut in quickly. "Are you going to talk to her or not?" I laughed. "Tell her to keep her tone civil next time she calls if she wants to have a real conversation. I'm done with her trying to boss me around." Hazel chuckled. "I'll be happy to pass that message along. Talk to you later." After a 5-minute pause, the phone rang again. "Sam?" "Yes, Kim. What do you want?" There was another pause before Kim said, "Can I speak with you for a moment?" "I'm listening." Another pause followed. "Has Hazel been crying to you? What has she said?" "Hazel is quite capable, and it doesn't matter what she told me. That so-called witch of a secretary is the only reason you're speaking to me now. You should be thanking her for helping you out, so I'll ask you again. What do you want?" I thought I heard Kim sigh. "I'm sorry, Sam. I've been a bit on edge lately. I know Hazel has done her job well, and I really do appreciate it." I sensed Kim was trying to calm me down and wondered why she was giving in so easily. "Get to the point, Kim. You still haven't told me what you want." Kim's voice wavered as she choked back a small sob. "I need to talk to you, Sam. I need your advice. I had hoped we would be working together, as a team, but you left and disappeared before I could discuss it with you." I grunted in frustration. "I saw the signs, Kim. The moment I got that memo about your company buying mine, I knew there was no point in sticking around to face more humiliation. So now that we've cleared that up, have a nice life. I doubt I'll cross paths with you again since I don't move in your circles anymore. Goodbye." Kim's voice grew desperate. "No, please, Sam. I really need to talk to you, but it has to be in person, not over the phone. I know I might not deserve it, but I'm begging you. Just give me 30 minutes to explain my idea, and then I'll leave you alone." By the end of her plea, she was almost in tears. "Please, Sam, I don't know who else to turn to." Grinding my teeth, I fought the urge to hang up and forget this woman ever existed. A long moment passed as I struggled with myself. "All right, Kim, but I'm not chasing you around. If you want to talk, you'll have to come to me. I'll arrange it with Hazel and she'll let you know the details." I ended the call before Kim could respond, expecting her to call back. But the phone stayed silent all night. Kim was frustrated. "Why do I have to go through all this, Hazel? Why can't you just give me Sam's address and let me go on my own?" Hazel, gripping the steering wheel tightly, replied, "I've told you before, Kim. Sam wants it this way. You need to meet him on his terms. He doesn't want to see you otherwise." To quote him directly, "It's my way or the highway, her choice. I don't enjoy this any more than you do. But if he wants me to bring you, that's what I'll do. I won't stick around while you two talk. I'll make myself scarce, don't worry." I started chopping vegetables and herbs for the Italian sauce I was preparing for dinner. Hazel had called 30 minutes earlier to let me know they were less than an hour away, so they'd probably arrive in 20 to 30 minutes. I wanted to make sure Kim didn't feel at ease while she was here, so I kept myself busy to stay focused and keep her on edge. 15 minutes later, a knock echoed through the house. "Come in. The door's open." Hazel walked in with a genuine smile, teasing, "Look at you, all settled in like a pro." I laughed at her comment. "Hey, Hazel, it's great to see you. You're looking good." My gaze shifted to Kim, who followed Hazel in, looking nervous. "Kim," I greeted her briefly, noting Hazel's quick assessment of Kim's appearance. In that fleeting glance, I noticed the dark circles under her eyes and the extra weight she'd put on. Hazel's estimate of 10 kilos, though a bit harsh, wasn't far off. Hazel declared, "I could really use a drink," as she gave me a warm hug and a kiss on the cheek. "You're looking pretty good yourself. The country life seems to be agreeing with you." "If you're thirsty, there's wine, beer, or cola in the fridge," I said, showing my dirty hands. "Kim, do you want something to drink?" Kim noticed the chilly tone in my voice and lowered her head, realizing this meeting would be tougher than she expected. "Hi, Sam. Thank you. A glass of wine would be nice. Hazel's right, you do look well." Hazel uncorked a bottle of white wine and poured 2 glasses, handing one to Kim. "Which way to the edge of the world?" "I want to check out the view," she said, gesturing towards the back with the wine bottle. "I'll leave you two to talk things out, but remember," she said, pointing the bottle at me, "I'm not here to deal with any messes, so play nice." I chuckled at Hazel's joke about me being off the grid and directed her to the back door. "No worries here. There's a fishing rod out on the deck if you want to give it a go." Hazel rolled her eyes. "I wouldn't even know what to do with it if I caught something." She then wandered outside, leaving Kim and me alone for our conversation. "Sit down and tell me why you're here," I said, gesturing to a chair as I returned to chopping herbs. Kim hesitated before sitting down and glanced around, trying to break the tension. "You have a nice place here. It's small but charming." I tensed up, feeling my frustration with her presence starting to show. "This isn't a social visit, Kim," I continued chopping basil vigorously. "Just say what you need to say so we can both move on with our lives." Kim took a deep breath, sipped her wine for courage, and asked, "Can I ask you one question?" I exhaled heavily. "You can ask as many questions as you like, Kim. That doesn't mean I'll answer them, but go ahead and try." "Why did you leave?" Kim looked at me, clearly trying to gauge my reaction and bracing herself for any signs of anger. From our years together, she probably knew I was working hard to keep my temper in check. I slammed the knife down and faced Kim. "You don't need a PhD to understand why I left, Kim. You're a big-shot vice president now. You must have some smarts to get there. Surely you can figure it out." Kim flinched at my jab about her career progression, and I could see her frustration building. "That was a cheap shot, even for you, Sam. I'm perfectly capable of doing my job. What I can't do is read minds." With my arms crossed, I stared at her for a long moment. Kim seemed to shrink under my gaze. "You're right, Kim. Mind reading isn't a common skill, but in a role like yours, you need to be able to understand people and anticipate their motives. A good executive identifies their team's strengths and uses them effectively. It's not about being cruel, it's about creating a win-win situation. Do you really want to hear what I think of you and your skills, Kim?" A shiver ran down her spine when I asked my question. It was clear she had a good idea of what I might say, and I could tell it wasn't boosting her confidence. Still, she probably thought keeping the conversation going was her best shot at getting what she wanted. She squared her shoulders and said, "All right, Sam, I'll bite. What do you think of my corporate skills?" Her attempt to provoke me almost made me laugh, but I just went back to cooking. "You're a bulldozer, Kim. You charge through like a bull in a china shop with no regard for finesse or subtlety." I could tell this caught her off guard. Her open-mouthed reaction was clear evidence. "A bulldozer?" she finally managed to stammer, then asked, "Could you explain that further?" As I continued chopping, I smiled inwardly. "Certainly, Kim. A bulldozer? You take the most straightforward path to your goal, even if it's not the easiest one. You don't consider the situation or think about who you might help or who might help you. You only focus on yourself. You don't strategize or plan your approach. You just plow through, ignoring anyone who gets in your way. That's why you're in the difficult spot you're in now. You've burned your bridges and destroyed everything in your path." Watching her, I noticed a tear forming in the corner of her eye as she listened to my critique. For the first time since I'd known her, she seemed at a loss for words. Her response was weak. "No, I don't!" Her feeble defense spoke volumes. "Everything I did was for us, Sam, but your ego has made you blind to that. I know I hurt you, and I've apologized countless times. If you had stayed, I could have shared my plan with you. You still haven't explained why you left." I tasted the sauce and decided to add more salt. "I'm not oblivious, Kim. When I saw the writing on the wall, it was clear you were coming in to clean house. You're the one sent to get rid of people so the company could move forward, and I agreed that it was necessary. All I did was make it easier for you to make those tough choices." Her expression showed she was eager to steer the conversation this way. "Sam Beckman, for someone who's supposed to be smart, you sure do some foolish things. I never planned to fire you. If you had any sense, you would have realized that. Like I said, everything I did was for us. I wanted you to see all your dreams come true. She was clearly trying to tug at my heartstrings and flatter me, but I wasn't buying it. My frustration stemmed from her trying to manipulate me. I remember countless times we sat in the kitchen, with you complaining about how the higher-ups were ruining the company with their poor management. I believed in you, Sam. You promised you could turn things around. Now, I'm in a position to help you make those ideas happen. I believed you could do it, and I worked hard to give you that chance. I went to bat with my bosses, saying I could bring in big profits for your company. And what did I get in return? Oh, great. Now she's playing the blame game. You left me high and dry without even letting me share my plans with you. I've been working tirelessly trying to prove that what you said was possible. All I need is a bit of help from the one man I've ever loved. That's you, Sam. We could enjoy the rewards of what we've achieved together if you'd just join me. Ah, the classic, I love you and let's plan our future line. I'm not foolish enough to think we'll rekindle our relationship, even though I often wish we could. What I see now is that we might build a successful business partnership and find happiness. So what do you think? How about we call a truce, get to work, and show everyone that we're a powerful team? Kim took another sip of her wine and leaned back, looking pleased that I had listened without interrupting. Now that she had made her pitch, it was up to me to decide what to do next. As I finished making the sauce and started boiling water for the spaghetti, I couldn't help but recall Caesar's last words, et tu, Brutus. Betrayal was the first thing that came to mind when I learned about her scheming for her company and the excuses she gave. Despite Kim's heartfelt plea, a nagging thought kept hitting me. Her past and present actions could be summed up in those 3 words. All right, Kim, a good executive evaluates all options before making a decision. Let's say I actually buy into your so-called brilliant plan. Why do you think I'd be any help to you? Annoyance flashed in Kim's eyes at my question. To her, it seemed obvious. I've told you before that I believe you have the skills to make this work, and that you have enough standing in the company to get the support you need. People respect your opinions and trust you. The obstacles you faced before were all due to upper management, which I've cleared up by taking over as VP. What are you trying to say? With a sad smile, I replied, you can't see that you're taking over has actually undermined my ability to gather support. But I'm not surprised. You refuse to acknowledge that you've done anything wrong. Others, however, see it differently, Kim. The shock was clear on Kim's face as I continued. Ever wonder why you're struggling to get support for your ideas? The gossip around the office has already spread the word about your business practices and ethics, and I didn't even have to say a thing. Kim's expression went blank. I was touching on a topic she preferred to avoid. What people see is someone who climbed to the top by using her body to get ahead, leaving others who deserved it behind to struggle. Kim winced, noticeably. They know you were unfaithful during our marriage, and that made working there tough until I realized I still had my dignity and their respect after our divorce. Accepting your offer would mean I'd be endorsing everything you did, and instead of being a betrayed spouse, I'd just be a betrayed employee. I'd lose their respect and my ability to work would go down the drain. Tears began forming in Kim's eyes again as my negative feedback took its toll. Her confidence in her position seemed to falter. I don't believe you, Sam. I've proven I'm willing to work hard and that I reached this position to get things done. If I weren't capable, Jason wouldn't have given me the role. Shaking my head, I felt my anger and frustration turning into sadness. It became clear that Kim truly believed her own narrative, possibly out of self-preservation, and was avoiding the truth about her situation. Did Jason approach you about the takeover, or did you push for it yourself? Kim dabbed her eyes with a tissue from her purse and stood up with a bit of optimism. It doesn't matter what you or anyone else thinks. I'm not just a puppet for Jason. I went to him, and he made it difficult for me before finally letting me present my proposal to the board of directors. I acknowledged what Kim said, realizing it matched my suspicions about the merger's origins. Just as I suspected. Can I ask you something? Was Jason deeply involved with you when he agreed to let you address the board? Or were you providing him with other kinds of favors? Kim's shocked expression made her guilt obvious. Her gasp confirmed it. Struggling to maintain her composure, she asked, "Why would you think that?" I laughed at her reaction. "Do you know why I was good at my job, Kim?" I went on after the rhetorical question. "I've always made profiles of everyone I meet, and yes, that includes you. The issue with your profile was that I didn't factor in my feelings for you. I mistakenly trusted you completely, thinking that if you loved me, you'd be trustworthy. That was a costly mistake, and I adjusted your profile accordingly. As my grandfather used to say, there's no point in getting older if you don't get smarter. My approach is to assess people by their actions, not just their words. If their actions match their profile, I can work with them or find a way around them. I usually make the best of any situation. Knowing Jason, I don't think he cares whether you succeed or fail. If you fail, he'll just distance himself and blame the board for approving your proposal. The realization seemed to dawn on Kim as I continued. If you succeed, Jason will take credit for promoting a rising executive who boosted profits. He benefits no matter the outcome. So much for thinking you have support from above. Jason doesn't care if you are clever enough to handle this job or naive enough to believe in this plan. As long as you keep him satisfied, he's content. You're on your own, Kim. A small fish in a big pond and the predators are circling. Kim fiddled with her tissue. Everything I said seemed to hit home, and it probably scared her to realize that her situation was worse than she first thought. But true to her usual approach, she refused to accept that she might not secure her future. So you believe I can't pull this off? My response was clear. No, Kim. I don't just think it. I know you can't do this. I saw Kim's anger start to rise, but continued. It won't be minor issues you're dealing with. It'll be a massive failure that could kick you out of your VP role and into obscurity. What will happen to your precious security then? To calm myself, I turned away from her. From what I hear, all you've done is create a lot of noise without making any real progress. You've been so busy spinning your wheels that others are struggling to get their work done. Looking back at Kim, I said, I'd be shocked if there isn't a significant drop in quarterly profits at the next shareholders' meeting. But that's just speculation. You can dress this up however you want, but it all boils down to why you did it in the first place. Here's what I know and think. You said you loved me and that you did this for us. Kim trembled under my harsh words, but nodded in agreement. However, according to you, it's really all about your own security and nothing to do with mine or our future. If you truly loved me as you claim, you would have moved mountains to make sure I didn't work myself to death. Remember what you said? I was a heart attack just waiting to happen. I paused, letting her reflect, then continued. You didn't make much of an effort, or if you did, it wasn't convincing. Instead, you went ahead and secured your position while waiting for me to drop dead. You could have threatened to divorce me if I didn't take it easy and think about us. I'm sure that would have made me rethink things, and your betrayal certainly did. It's why I'm here now, feeling better for it. I love you, Sam. I didn't want to divorce you. You didn't want to divorce me, but you were okay with watching me work myself to death. That's a real sign of love, isn't it? I said with sarcasm. Inside, I felt a small satisfaction. Kim couldn't counter my points and avoided my gaze. I didn't mean what I said back then, and I still love you. I regret a lot of what I said to you back then. My serious expression probably showed that I had doubts. I also believed that Kim was convinced of her own words. I don't doubt that you love me in your own way, Kim, but that doesn't help our situation. Can't you see? I can't trust you now, either personally or in business. It was time to wrap up this conversation. Here's how I see it now. You've reached as high as you can go. There's no one left to advance you further. You'll need to wait for Jason to retire or pass away before you can become CEO, and you thought this would be a good chance to secure your place and claim the top spot. Kim tried to argue, but I stopped her. That's why you took over my old company. You hoped to manipulate me into working hard again just to benefit yourself. I'm amazed you thought I'd just go along with it. I assumed it was clear I wasn't going to be a pushover after I kicked you out the first time. Then I realized it might have been my fault for setting you up to fail. Seeing Kim struggle, I noticed that one moment I was blaming her, and the next I was taking responsibility. You're not making sense, Sam. It seems like you've got everything mixed up. I lowered my head and sighed deeply. All right, Kim. You've heard the saying, being cruel to be kind? Well, I wasn't kind. I should have been harsh with you, but instead I led you on, and should have really just cut you off and walked away. Even though you deserved to be left high and dry, I went to Jason and made him keep his word to promote you to VP. I cared about you enough not to leave you hanging, even if that was a mistake. Your constant love notes on my birthday, Christmas, and every other occasion only made me think you believed there was a chance I'd come back. I stood up to check the sauce and added more water to the nearly empty pot. Had I done what I should have, you'd have vanished to a place where no one knew you, healed your wounds, and started over, hopefully wiser. That's what I suggest now. Walk away and start fresh. Tears were welling up in her eyes again. You'll probably end up back in a secretarial job, but that's still better than staying and dealing with what's coming. You'd be lucky if your job only involved licking stamps while dealing with some unpleasant mailroom clerk. Watching Kim, I saw how my words hit her. I tried to be harsh, but it was disappointing to see defiance rather than acceptance on her face. I know I hurt you, and I regret it every day, but what you just heard was cruel. You don't believe in me at all, despite everything I've believed in you. If that's how you feel, then watch closely and see how it's done. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. Come in, I snapped, annoyed. Monica entered, concerned. Is everything okay, Sam? I'm sorry if I'm interrupting. Realizing how much time had passed and feeling regret for losing my temper, I apologized. I'm sorry, Monica. Please come in. Kim was just about to leave. I glanced at Kim, waiting for her to get up. Kim glanced at Monica standing in the doorway. Monica looked about 5 to 10 years younger, with striking features, slim build, and long, flowing dark auburn hair. The realization of why Monica was there hit Kim hard, and her face showed it. She then looked back at me, who was simply staring at her, before her gaze shifted to the food simmering on the stove and back to me. As the truth dawned on her, Kim's tears began to fall. I noticed her reaction and understood what she was thinking. What? Did you think this dinner was for you? I made it clear from the start that this wasn't a social visit. Don't get upset because I'm having a friend over. We're done, and have been for years. I only let you come here to try and get some sense into you. Kim jumped up, head down, and hurried past Monica, mumbling, Tell Hazel I'll be waiting in the car for her. Monica looked at Kim leaving and asked, I hope I haven't made things worse. Should I tell Jillian I don't need her to babysit after all? This has nothing to do with you, I reassured Monica. I'm glad you arrived when you did. I gave Monica a hug and a kiss on the cheek. Could you put the pasta in and keep an eye on it for a moment? I need to let Hazel know our meeting is over and that she can take Kim home. Walking out onto the back deck, I saw Hazel relaxing as the last rays of the afternoon sun disappeared behind the hills. It struck me that one thing Kim had said was true. With Kim now VP, she had removed all the obstacles to my ideas. I asked Hazel, How's the view? It's just as you described, Sam. Refreshing, Hazel said, smiling with her eyes closed. How did it go in there? I didn't hear any arguments. Not well, I'm afraid. She's not backing down and is waiting for you in the car right now. Can I ask you something? Of course, Sam, you can ask me anything. I smiled faintly. What do you see in your future at work? How ambitious are you, Hazel? Hazel's eyes widened at my unexpected question. I'm not sure what you're getting at, Sam. But if you're suggesting what I think, then I'd definitely want a chance at Kim's position. I'm confident I can do the job well, but I won't compromise my principles to get it. Why do you ask? I lowered my head, thinking. I believe it's time to put an end to this chaotic situation. With a firm tone, I added, Can you get Kevin Paxton on board and meet me in town in 3 weeks? I might have an offer for both of you. Hazel nodded in agreement. I guided Hazel back into the cottage where she saw Monica at the stove. Giving me a nudge with her elbow, she whispered, I see why Kim left so quickly. You old dog? Her expression made me smile. Monica's stunning, and I bet she was the final straw for Kim. Honestly, Kim's nowhere near Monica's league. Not even I am. That poor girl must be nursing her wounded pride. I agreed with Hazel about Monica's beauty. And she's just as wonderful on the inside. Monica looked up as I introduced Hazel. Nice to meet you. Sam seems to have so many women around, I'm not sure there's enough space for me, she said cautiously. Hazel laughed. Don't worry about any other woman you see Sam with. He's a one-woman man, that's for sure. And from what I can see, he's definitely interested in you. Better keep an eye out. Sam can be quite the romantic when he's interested. I wasn't sure where Hazel was coming from. I hadn't been in any social situations with her for her to make such a comment. Feeling my face redden, I said, I think you've said enough for tonight, Hazel. It's time for you to go. As I escorted her to the front door, she glanced back and gave her final advice. If you're smart, Monica, don't let this guy slip away. She gave me one last kiss on the cheek and said goodbye. Behave yourself, and I'll see you in 3 weeks. Monica and I were finishing our dinner and drinking Merlot on the back deck while we watched the ducks and swans float by. We talked about the events from earlier that day, and I filled Monica in on the messy details of my marriage to Kim and the chaos it caused. Sam, you really don't want to go through with this, do you? I flinched at the thought of what lay ahead. No, Monica, you're right. I don't want to do it, but it's necessary. I can't just sit back and let everyone lose their jobs because I took the easy way out. Even though it's tough, I have no other option. Monica paused for a moment before saying, honestly, I think Kim still has feelings for you. I glanced at Monica and almost laughed. I knew she felt that way before, but I doubt it now. Not after the way I talked to her today. I really laid into her, but I'm not sure it changed anything. Monica grinned. Despite your tough talk, it's clear that you care about people, including Kim. Trust me, we women appreciate that in a man. I didn't have much to say, so I took another sip of my beer. Monica gave my arm a reassuring pat. If I haven't made a mistake about you, I believe you'll do what's best for everyone. I nodded with a sense of dread, but I'm afraid not everyone will see it that way. You didn't create the mess, Sam. Kim did. Now she has to deal with it, and there's nothing you can do to change that. Monica paused for a couple of minutes while I was deep in thought, then surprised me with a sudden question. By the way, when are you going to show me your bed? Her question came out of nowhere and completely took me off guard. What? Monica laughed. Hazel told me if I wanted to claim you, I better not play around. She said, if you're smart, Monica, you won't let this guy slip away. So here I am, holding on to someone I think is worth it. Are you looking for more than just friendship? I probably sounded like a nervous teenager trying to figure things out. I didn't want to mess things up. As you can see, my history with women isn't exactly great. I struggled to meet her gaze as I said it. Monica laughed. You're blushing, Sam. My face turned bright red and a shy smile spread across my face. You really know how to make a guy feel awkward? I rubbed my face and eyes, trying to regain my composure rather than because I was tired. When I walked into your store and saw you so stressed, and you accepted my help, I felt like a hero coming to save the day. Her smile was priceless. You were my hero that day, and you still are, Sam. Monica leaned in and gave me a warm kiss on the cheek. Since then, I've come to rely on you. I understand now why you were so kind to me months ago. Monica stopped when she saw the confusion on my face. It must have been tough for you to see Kim make you feel unimportant. But if it helps, I need you, Sam. I haven't felt this relaxed and comfortable since Greg passed away. Yeah, it's just a guy thing. Kim didn't get it, and I couldn't explain it to her either. Monica gave my hand a reassuring pat. You've been really kind to me, Sam, and I want you to know I appreciate it. It wasn't until Hazel made her mistake that I realized I feel more than just friendship for you. So what do you think? Ready to take things to the next level? Monica looked at me with a mix of sincerity and hope. Well, if you insist, I guess I'll have to show you my etchings, I said with a playful grin. Monica's face lit up. Forget the etchings. I'm more curious about the tool you use for them. We both burst out laughing as she stood up and headed for the door, joking, Race you to the bedroom. I noticed Kevin and Hazel watching me as I walked into the restaurant. My expression must have made my mood clear. Kevin got up and reached out his hand. It's been a while, old friend. It's great to see you again after all this time. What have you been up to? You look 10 years younger. I smiled and shook Kevin's hand. Great to see you too. I'm in great shape. How's life treating you? Oh, not too bad. Can't complain, but no one really listens anyway. I grinned at Kevin's comment and gave Hazel a kiss on the cheek. You're looking as lovely as ever. I don't know what you see in this rough guy, but I hope he's been treating you right. Hazel laughed. He may be rough around the edges, but I am into that rugged look. How did you know? I smiled. Like I told Kim, I'm good at reading people. And I noticed your reaction when I asked for Kevin to join us today. I think you two make a great pair. Kevin smiled at my compliment. So, what's this proposal you have for us? I laughed. Always straight to the point, Kevin. All right, let's handle the business first. Then we can relax and enjoy our meal. As the waitress brought our drinks, I started laying out the situation. The company is in serious trouble, and if we don't act fast, everyone will be out of work and looking for new jobs. As you know, there aren't many opportunities available. I pulled some folders from my briefcase and handed the white one to Kevin. This is my plan for fixing the situation. If you have any concerns or suggestions, let me know. While Kevin looked through the folder, I opened another one. This is a list of people you'll need to get on board. How you approach them is up to you. Kevin skimmed through the first folder. It looks like you've put a lot of thought into this. From what I see, you're targeting not just JPL and Kim, but also Dobson Inc. and Jason. I could tell from Kevin's expression that he was catching on. We have no choice. Since Dobson bought JPL, we need a two-pronged strategy. Initially, my plan was just for JPL, but now we have to focus on Dobson's board of directors as well. If you can win them over and Hazel handles things at JPL. We might have a slim chance. Kevin passed the folder to Hazel. You're not kidding about slim chances, more like almost non-existent. But I see the potential. Maybe we should consult Jack Deacon. He's great with numbers, don't you think? I thought for a moment before responding. Jack is a numbers genius, but if you think he's the right person for this, it's worth a shot. We didn't get along well at the end, though. I'm not sure why, but it was clear he didn't like working with me. Hazel agreed while looking through the folder. I think Jack should definitely be involved. He's an expert in creative accounting. I'll talk to him and see how he feels about this. Kevin glanced through the second folder, checking out the list of names. Wow, some big names here. I'm not sure I can even get in to see some of these people, let alone get them on board. I smiled at his uncertainty. You think that's a problem? I've been working on this for 3 weeks. There's one name, Slovak. I haven't been able to reach him at all. If he doesn't join us, this whole plan falls apart. How did you become so well connected? Connected? If I were really that good, I'd have Slovak eating out of my hand already. I handed Kevin another folder. This one lists the appointments with everyone else on the list, except for Slovak. Hazel looked up from her folder. Isn't Slovak related to Jerry Cambridge? Maybe Jerry could help us get a meeting with him? Kevin and I exchanged looks and shrugged. Kevin asked, "Can you check on that and set something up, sweetheart?" Hazel smiled. "I have a meeting with Jerry tomorrow to plan a trip. I'll ask him then." That bit of news lifted my spirits a bit, so I added, "I've already set up the times and dates for the other meetings. Things are starting to get messy, even at the top. I've used a lot of connections to make this happen. There's still a lot of details to work out, and I think we need to gather everyone to finalize the plan." Hazel shook her head. "I can't believe Jason didn't see this coming." "Oh, he knows it's coming," I said with a scoff. "He just doesn't care. He has his escape plan ready, and Kim's in for a big shock when he stabs her in the back." Hazel winced. "Kim may be a selfish jerk, but she doesn't deserve to be betrayed like this." I nodded in agreement. "I think he'll need to act before the next quarterly stockholders meeting if he wants to stay clean. That's why we need to move quickly and efficiently. If we impress the top executives, we'll be in good shape." Kevin shook his head. "You really think we're going to take you up on this offer?" I smiled again. "Think about it, Kevin. What do you have to lose? If Kim could win them over with her ideas, you'll have no trouble. You haven't found a job that matches your skills, have you? I know you have issues with Kim, and I'm pretty sure Jason isn't on your favorites list either." I nodded at Hazel. "And Hazel here believes in you just as much as I do. I'm confident you'll take this opportunity and run with it. I've done the easy part. Now you just need to deliver." Kevin and Hazel laughed. "All wrapped up with a nice little pink ribbon," Kevin said with a touch of sarcasm. Hazel frowned. "What about Jason? He won't just roll over, and I'm sure he has the resources to sabotage this before it even gets started," she said, flipping through the second folder. I gave an evil grin. "Don't worry about Jason. I'll handle him. You won't even have to see him, let alone deal with him. Just keep Kim distracted so she doesn't realize what's going on and doesn't make a mess of things." Hazel matched my grin. "Kim's the least of our concerns right now. Since your talk with her, she's been so out of it she doesn't even know what day it is. Monica really got to her, and now she's determined to prove you wrong. I can tell you, Sam, you've really shaken her up. I've had to step in and fix many of her proposals to make her look halfway competent." Kevin, Hazel, and I enjoyed our meal while finalizing our plans. By the time we wrapped up, we had scheduled another meeting in 2 days with some other people to go over the final draft. The meeting was intense, to say the least. Hazel and Kevin had gathered a handful of allies to help us close the deal. Jack Deacon was one of them, and, as expected, he was confrontational from the start, though he did listen to our pitch. "Let me see the financial package," he demanded. We all held our breath as he quickly reviewed the numbers, and I was amazed at how fast he could do calculations. "This is nonsense, Beckman. There's no way you can back up these figures." My first instinct was to snap back at his criticism, but I managed to stay calm. "These are just estimates, rough projections." Deacon smirked. "Don't quit your day job, Beckman. I've seen more reliable weather forecasts from the meteorologists. It was time to prove ourselves. I had told Kim I was good at handling tough people, and now was the moment to show it. Look, Deacon, can I call you Jack? I know we haven't seen eye to eye since Kim's unconventional rise to power, but I know you're skilled at what you do, and that's why you're here. You're the best." I could see him puffing up with pride, which made me think I was on the right track. Jack gave a knowing smile. I might be seen as just a number cruncher to you, but I'm not so out of touch that I don't recognize when someone's trying to butter me up. I clenched my teeth in frustration. I know it sounded flattering, but that doesn't make it any less true. I gestured to the others in the room. What are these people going to do if things go south at the next stockholders meeting? Honestly, I don't care whether you join this proposal or not. I can walk away and go back to my quiet life in the country, while you all figure out how to handle unemployment. You're a numbers genius, Jack. You can get a job anytime. But what about the rest of these people? We need you to work your magic and make those forecasts come true. I could see Jack's wheels turning. Despite his earlier attitude, he seemed concerned. So this isn't just a scheme to get your wife ahead in the company? I smiled with a hint of sadness and chuckled as I shook my head. So, that's what Jack's issue with me was. No, Jack, that's not it at all. She's my ex-wife, and if we manage to pull this off, she'll be lucky to end up shuffling papers in a windowless room. I made a mistake divorcing her. I should have handled it differently, and I regret how things turned out. I'm here to try to fix that mistake. Whether this takeover succeeds or not, both she and Jason are finished. I promise you that. Jack looked around the room and then flipped through the folder again. You know, Sam, I've been working with so little for so long that I'm now an expert at making something out of nothing. He grinned widely. What's the deadline for this miracle to be completed? I turned to Kevin. I need it by 3 p.m. tomorrow, Kevin answered cautiously. Wow, that's tight, Jack said, his eyes wide with shock. I'm good, but even God might struggle to get this sorted by then. We all glanced around, and I started to worry that my brilliant plan might fail. Then Jack threw us all off with his next comment. If I pull this off, I want a plaque that says God to put on my desk, he joked. After a moment, Kevin laughed. I'll personally make the plaque and have everyone bow down to you if you get those numbers to me by 3 p.m. tomorrow. Relief swept through the room as everyone, including myself, sighed. All right, folks, we're working late tonight. Call anyone you need to and make your apologies. Let's get moving. Hazel approached me and asked if she could bring in some people from the typing pool to help with organizing and running errands. It's your call, Hazel. Show us what you can do. I'm here to help with any questions, but you're in charge now, I said, extending my hands to show I was handing over control. Oh my God, she exclaimed, glancing at Kevin. Sam's right, sweetheart. You need to take charge and prove that everyone can rely on you in a crisis. Kevin and I stepped aside as Hazel took a deep breath and got to work. Within an hour, she was busy organizing teams and brainstorming ideas. Jack argued with her back and forth until Hazel finally lost her patience and said, I don't care how many of your people you need to bring in to meet the deadline, Jack. You know what we're up against. Just make it happen, Kevin chuckled. I think you were right, Sam. She's a real trooper. I smiled at Kevin's clear pride in his little dynamo and gave him a friendly punch on the arm. I never doubted her, Kevin, I said, tapping my temple with my finger to show I had confidence, and then walked off to help out. I walked into Jason's office, ignoring his surprised secretary. Sorry, sir, but you can't go in there. Jason glanced up in irritation and waved her away. It's fine, Lynn. What's the meaning of this interruption, Beckman? Jason looked very annoyed to see me standing in front of his desk again. That's no way to start a negotiation, Jason. I would have thought someone of your business skills would know how to be a bit more diplomatic. I kept a calm, intimidating expression. Jason leaned back, waiting for me to continue. I didn't rush to explain, letting him sweat over what was coming. It's usually believed that in a standoff, the one who speaks first loses. Eventually, Jason cracked, wiping the sweat off his forehead. Are you just going to stand there all day and stare at me, or are you going to tell me why you're here? He glanced nervously at his watch. I have a stockholders meeting in an hour. I'm here to help you pack, jerk, I finally told him. And where exactly am I supposed to go? Jason clearly wasn't happy with how this was going. I don't care where you go as long as you're out by the end of the day, I sneered. But I suggest you head to another state, on the other side of the country. And what if I don't plan on leaving, jerk? I'm just a few years from retirement, and I'm not about to give up my fat retirement package for someone like you. I shook my head. You've got two options, idiot. You can resign and leave with just what you have in your pockets, or you can stick around and watch me tear apart your miserable life piece by piece. That includes your personal life, too. And from what I can see, you'll be lucky if you have enough left to buy a cup of coffee. Jason frowned. I did what you asked, Beckman. I gave Kim a shot at VP, and as you know, she's now in charge of JPL. So why are you suddenly making threats? We've never seen eye to eye, but I thought you were a man of your word. Why are you dragging up the past now? I leaned forward, placing both hands on his desk so our faces were inches apart. You changed my mind, you worthless piece of trash. I kept my end of the deal until you broke it, and now you're going to pay. You screwed Kim over in more ways than one. You let her present her proposal to the board knowing it would fail. You saw a chance to get rid of two problems at once. You knew she would come to me for help and that I wouldn't assist her. So, you broke our agreement, and now I'm making you pay. Jason was sweating heavily as he listened. He must have been shocked that I knew he had set her up. I didn't break our deal, Beckman. She came to me. I just gave her a chance to prove herself. If anyone's to blame for her situation, it's her. Cut the crap, you piece of trash, I said, knocking some items off his desk with my left hand in frustration. You had every chance to stop her. Even someone with a fifth-grade education would know she couldn't get in front of the board without your help. I jabbed my finger at his face and continued. You made the call, and you messed it up. Now you have to fix it. Either resign or watch your life fall apart. Jason's face went through a range of emotions, and I took pleasure in watching him struggle. I held my ground as he weighed his options. I seriously doubt you have anything on me to back up your threats. It was satisfying to see him realize that every avenue he considered was blocked. Do you really think I've just been sitting around these past few years? I said. I've got all the dirt on your shady dealings from before you wrecked my marriage. Plus, I've uncovered even more. Corporate fraud and embezzlement, to name a couple. I was bluffing, but given his corrupt nature, I figured he probably did have more skeletons in his closet. The choice is yours, Jason. Jail or resignation. I watched his eyes dart around as he grasped that the only option left for him was to leave through his office door. Kevin Paxton is currently meeting with your board of directors, and he's got a plan that will ruin everything for you, I added for good measure. And once I'm done here, I'm heading straight there to hand over everything I have on you. No one will have to worry about you messing with any more marriages because you'll be out of the picture. That was the last straw for Jason. He hit the intercom. Lynn, get in here with a pad and pencil. I need a letter typed up immediately. I walked over to his liquor cabinet and poured myself a scotch. You don't need to stick around, Beckman. You win. I'll be out by the end of the day. I took a sip of my drink while Jason's secretary came in and sat down to take notes. No worries, Jason. I don't have anything urgent right now. I'd be happy to deliver your letter for you. Lynette could feel the tension as she waited for Jason to start dictating. By the time he finished, she was barely containing her laughter and quickly left the office. I noticed her reaction and knew that word would spread around the office before Jason had a chance to pack up and leave. As a final jab, I called out to him as he walked out of his office for the last time. I hear the South Pole has great weather this time of year. I won't be looking for you there. Oh, and Jason, have a nice day. A few minutes later, Lynette returned and hugged me tightly. Thank you, Mr. Beckman. I'm so grateful. I pulled back, puzzled. Why are you thanking me? Lynette, with tears in her eyes, explained. Jason was trying to blackmail me. He's been hitting on me with hints, and I think he was planning to escalate if I didn't comply. I really appreciate what you've done for me. I was angry that Jason was leaving without consequences. I was right. Kim had outlived her usefulness, and Jason was looking for a new target. I figured Jason had sealed his own fate, and his marriage was now at risk. Don't worry. Your next boss will be someone you can trust. If everything goes as planned, all he'll expect is for you to do your job well. He's a fair and honest person who values loyalty in his employees. Lynette gave me another kiss on the cheek. You're now on my Christmas list for life, and I'll try to convince my husband to name our next son after you, she grinned. Thanks again for all your help. She handed me an envelope. I've never enjoyed typing a letter as much as I did this one. I walked back into the office Jason had left 6 months ago. Morning, Lynn. Is the boss in? Morning, Mr. Beckman. Yes, Mr. Paxton is expecting you. As I reached for the door, she added, Mr. Beckman, you were right. He's exactly what a secretary could hope for. Thanks again. I smiled as I opened the door. No problem, Lynn. Just call me Sam. Mr. Beckman was my father, I said with a chuckle. Lynette giggled and waved me through. So, how does it feel to be the CEO of one of the top-performing companies last quarter? I asked as I sank into a comfy chair. Sam, you old rascal. Where have you been? How are you? I can't tell you how much we all appreciate what you've done, especially for Hazel and me. She's still pinching herself every morning to make sure it's not a dream. I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Really? And how do you know that for sure? Are you telling me you're waking up next to her? Any plans for a little merger here? I joked. Kevin shrugged. We're still negotiating, but a deal is likely soon. Hazel would love for you to be at the signing. And I hear you've been working on a little project of your own? I laughed. Same here, and that's where I've been. You had a business to save, and I had one to build. Monica's definitely got the pedigree. She's a fine thoroughbred. If I have any say, I'll be hitching my wagon to hers. Once our laughter died down, Kevin looked serious and asked, "Have you heard about Kim?" My expression turned serious. Yes, Hazel called me the day she was taken to the hospital. It seemed like everything got too much for her, and she had a breakdown. Hazel wanted me to visit that afternoon to see how she was doing and maybe mend some fences. I didn't think it was worth it until she got some professional help. My presence might have made things worse. Kevin nodded and shrugged. Yeah, maybe you're right. Hazel seemed to feel a bit sorry for her, but that's just how women are. I think Hazel's going to offer her a junior position at JPL, maybe as a secretary. Hope that doesn't bother you? I shook my head and frowned. No way, I don't hate her, and honestly, I don't even dislike her anymore. She's just someone I used to know. I hope she gets herself together and moves on with her life. Kevin leaned back in his chair. So you're not interested in coming back? I can get you a great job with a top-notch salary? I laughed. Not a chance, buddy. Besides, you've got God working for you now, from what I hear. Kevin laughed too. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about Jack. He got his plaque and earned everyone's respect. You were right, he's a true mathematical genius. It was touch and go for a while, and I was literally walking into the board meeting an hour before the stockholders' meeting when he handed me the financial statement. Kevin's smile widened as he started chuckling. What's so funny? I was just picturing Jack's face when some of the girls approached him and gave him the look. Let's see how he handles trying to use his math skills to figure out women. If he can do that, then I'll believe he's really a genius. I laughed hard. I would have loved to be there, and at the board meeting too, but I had other issues to deal with. While you were charming the board members, Jason was sweating behind that same desk you're now sitting at. Kevin's smile was wide. If you ever need a job, just let me know. I shook my head again. I've got what I want now. Monica and I have our little family resort up and running. I actually came down to offer you special rates for this year's Thanksgiving long weekend. I thought maybe you could organize some friendly competitions and help build team spirit. Kevin nodded in agreement. I think we can work something out. A fishing contest or two could definitely help boost team camaraderie. Monica and I attended Kevin and Hazel's wedding, and they now have 2 wonderful boys and remain a strong business team. We received Christmas cards from Lynn, who convinced her husband to name their daughter Samantha, nicknamed Sam. Jason disappeared after his wife threw his clothes on the lawn, drenched them with sprinklers, and smashed his Elvis-signed guitar over a garden gnome. Rumors suggest he's in Antarctica, but that's unconfirmed. Kim, after getting help to move past what Jason did, accepted a junior secretarial position from Hazel, sold her mansion, and bought a modest condo near work. She now lives a quieter life with a paid-off home and a modest pension. At the company Thanksgiving party, Kim and I spoke. She apologized for her past arrogance, and I apologized for disrupting her security, though I felt it was necessary. She seemed to enjoy a relaxing weekend and occasionally socializes with friends, though she rarely stays out long. I don't dwell on it. It's her life to live. Monica and I tied the knot 6 months later and moved her and Bessie into my cottage. I saw her take a photo frame of her late husband out of her suitcase. She stared at it for a moment, kissed it, and then gently placed it in a drawer of her vanity table. The sight touched me deeply, so I walked over and, while she looked on with uncertainty, I took the photo frame and set it up on her vanity. Greg deserves to see that his wife is happy, well cared for and loved, don't you think? With a tear in her eye, Monica smiled and hugged me. You're a wonderful man, Samuel. I believe Greg and you would have been great friends. My guardian angel has been working overtime for me. I feel incredibly lucky to have found not 1 but 2 soulmates in my life. I felt fantastic. No, I felt amazing, better than I had in years. When Bessie gets older, you'll need to tell her all the wonderful things about her father. They both deserve that. Our little fishing resort has grown significantly. Jillian now has the flat next to the store. Although she's not always punctual, at least we know where to find her during busy times. We've expanded our properties and added more huts with private jetties for weekend anglers. Most of my days are spent tinkering in my workshop, making repairs to the boats and handling general maintenance. Monica still runs the convenience store, and Bessie, now 5, is becoming quite the handful. I'm the only father she's ever known. Last summer, we surprised her with a baby brother, Brady, who keeps her busy and gives us a bit of a break. I must admit I dote on both of them. Oh, and my doctor is pleased too, so I should probably send Kim a nice thank you card for that.